Picture a woman standing beneath a warm, golden spotlight. Her name has just been announced, and the room rises in applause, an ocean of faces lit by admiration. She lifts her chin slightly, offers a smile that looks confident, effortless, the kind of smile that could be printed on the cover of a magazine. Every camera in the room seems to adore her, but behind that beautiful moment, inside her chest, something small and frightened curls in on itself. A thought surfaces, quiet but merciless, the kind that arrives uninvited and stays long after the applause fades. If they knew the truth about me, none of this would be happening. It's only a matter of time before everything falls apart. What's striking is that this scene is not rare. It's not dramatic. It's not even unusual. It is the private reality of countless successful women who carry a sense of worthlessness quietly, almost elegantly, beneath layers of competence and achievement. They seem put together, articulate, unstoppable. They deliver results that others can only dream of. On the outside, they look like success incarnate. On the inside, they often feel like they're one misstep away from collapse. The strange thing is that their success doesn't reassure them. It threatens them. The higher they climb, the more intensely they fear the fall. Every achievement becomes another mask to maintain, another expectation to meet, another room in which they must perform a version of themselves they don't fully believe in. The applause doesn't soothe them, it exposes them. And the compliments don't strengthen them. They remind them of the distance between who they appear to be and who they secretly believe they are. This isn't just imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is the surface a word people use casually, almost playfully. But beneath that word is something older, deeper, shaped long before adulthood. These feelings don't suddenly appear the day a woman begins her career. They grow in the shadows of childhood, in the quiet ways affection was given or withheld, in the subtle expectations placed on little girls to excel, to be agreeable, to be responsible, to shine but not to fail. Worthlessness rarely announces itself. It slips into a young mind when praise feels conditional, when love seems tied to performance, when approval must be earned rather than received freely. Over time, it becomes the background music of an inner world, a tune she learns to live with, even dance to, without realizing how heavily it shapes her sense of self. Think about the women you know. The ones described as powerful, put together, effortlessly capable. These are often the same women who lie awake at night, replaying a single comment, a single mistake, a single moment where they weren't perfect. Not because the moment mattered, but because it felt like proof of an insecurity they have carried for years. The fear of not being enough. Maybe you felt it too. That quiet disconnect between your accomplishments and the person inside who struggles to claim them. That unsettling sense that one day someone will look past your polished exterior and discover the truth you've kept hidden. If that describes you, even a little, then stay with me. We are about to explore something tender and rarely spoken aloud. The emotional architecture behind this experience. The quiet tension between the self that performs and the self that doubts. The lifelong effort to earn a sense of worth that should have been unconditional from the very beginning. Over the next few parts, we will move deeper into this landscape, into the core fear of never being enough, into the perfectionism that rises like armor around that wound, into the imposter voice that grows louder the more a woman succeeds, And we'll explore how childhood imprints, societal forces, and even biology intertwine to make this pattern feel almost inevitable. But more than understanding the wound, we will move toward the possibility of healing it, toward the idea that worth is not something a woman earns by performing flawlessly, but something she rediscovers when she finally stops running. So, take a breath, settle into the story. We're stepping into a truth many women carry quietly, even beautifully, and it's time to finally bring it into the light. There is a kind of fear that doesn't scream. It doesn't shake the ground or slam the door behind you. It settles quietly, like dust that gathers in the corners of a childhood bedroom, almost invisible until you finally kneel down and see how much has accumulated. For so many women, this fear begins early. Not as a dramatic wound, but as a subtle shaping force. It molds the way they see themselves long before they ever step into a career, a relationship, or a room full of expectations. Imagine a girl named Anna, 8 years old, sharp, bright, eager to please. She brings home a drawing she worked on all afternoon, proud of the way she blended the colors, how carefully she penciled in the shadows. She holds the paper out with both hands, excited, waiting for that warm spark of recognition. Her mother glances at it, nods and says, "Pretty. Next time, try to stay inside the lines." Then she places it aside and returns to her chores. Anna doesn't cry. She doesn't rebel. She simply absorbs the message, tiny, quiet, powerful. Love arrives, but not freely. Approval exists, but it must be earned. Her worth is something she has to secure moment by moment, achievement by achievement, correction by correction. She doesn't know it yet, but this is the beginning of a lifelong equation she will never quite solve. As she grows, the equation grows with her. Good grades become currency. Praise becomes oxygen. The approval of teachers, friends, relatives. Every compliment feels like sunlight, and every silence feels like winter. She learns to chase what she thinks she must, because somewhere, deep inside, she has come to believe that worthiness is conditional. A fragile thing, something that can be lost. By the time Anna becomes an adult, this fear has woven itself into her nervous system. Not dramatically, but pervasively, like a low hum beneath every decision. She thrives, she performs, she succeeds. But the drive is no longer curiosity or joy. It is survival. A quiet panic disguised as ambition. Success becomes the armor she wears because she needs something, anything, to convince herself that she is enough. Yet, armor is heavy, and it never stops needing to be polished. You see this pattern everywhere. In the woman who wakes early to do more than anyone expects because she cannot bear the thought of being seen as average. In the woman who apologizes before speaking, as if her voice needs permission to exist. In the woman who takes care of everyone else first because somewhere inside, she has learned that being needed is safer than simply being. And in the highly accomplished woman who keeps climbing, keeps achieving, keeps winning, all while carrying a fear that grows larger in the shadow of every success. There is a paradox here. The more capable she becomes, the more intensely she fears the moment she can no longer meet the standard she has set for herself. It is as if she is running a marathon on a treadmill that never stops. And every time she thinks she is reaching the finish line, the machine quietly speeds up. There is no ending, no arrival, no moment of rest where she can finally say, "I have done enough. I am enough." The world applauds her, but she does not feel seen. People call her strong, but she feels breakable. They admire her consistency, unaware that the consistency is driven not by confidence, but by terror. They think she is fearless, But the truth is almost the opposite. She fears so deeply that she cannot afford to stop moving. Deep inside, beneath the polished exterior and the carefully maintained competence, the same childhood logic is still at work. If she slows down, she will lose her worth. If she makes a mistake, she will lose her place. If she shows weakness, the world will confirm what she has feared all along. This is the quiet tragedy that lives inside so many extraordinary women. They do not fear failure itself. They fear what failure confirms. They fear that the voice they have carried since girlhood, the one that whispers, "Not enough, not enough, not enough," might be right. When you look at it closely, this fear has little to do with external achievement. It has everything to do with early emotional imprinting. A child who grows up with inconsistent affection learns to scan for danger long before she learns to trust safety. A child whose praise is tied to performance develops a nervous system tuned not to joy, but to vigilance. The body remembers what the mind forgets. And so even as an adult, even when the world celebrates her, her body remains prepared for rejection. It's not that she dislikes success. It's that success feels unstable, like standing on thin ice that might crack beneath her weight. The applause echoes, but it echoes through a room that has no walls, no ceiling, no floor. There is nowhere for it to land. If you think about it, this fear is not irrational. It is learned. It is logical in the context where it was formed. It makes sense in the world her younger self had to navigate in order to survive. But the tragedy is that the woman she has become continues to live by the rules of a child who didn't yet know she was worthy simply because she existed. This is the core wound, the silent root beneath the overwhelm, the perfectionism, the self-doubt. It is not weakness, it is not fragility. It is simply a story she needed once, a story that helped her stay safe. But now it has become the cage she cannot see, the script she keeps performing, even when the stage has long been dismantled. And unless this fear is understood, gently, honestly, without judgment, it will follow her through every accomplishment, every relationship, every moment of recognition. No amount of success will ever quiet it. But acknowledgement is the first crack of light. And understanding the origins of this fear is the first step toward releasing it. In the next part, we'll step into the place where this fear transforms itself into something sharper, more punishing, and far more exhausting. Perfectionism. If the fear of never being enough begins as a whisper in childhood, perfectionism is the grown-up voice it eventually evolves into. It's sharper, cleaner, more disciplined. It has structure, rules, a kind of quiet brutality that looks admirable from a distance. Perfectionism becomes the armor that hides the wound so completely that even the woman wearing it forgets where the wound once was. Imagine a woman named Claire. She's in her 30s, poised, articulate. The kind of woman who walks into a room and seems to have already calculated the most efficient path through it. Her friends call her the reliable one, the high achiever, the woman who never drops the ball. But Claire knows something they don't. She holds everything together not because she is fearless, but because she cannot afford to let anything fall apart. For her, perfection isn't a choice, it's a necessity. The world sees her as disciplined. She sees herself as barely held together by the thin thread of doing everything flawlessly. She wakes before dawn, not out of ambition, but because the quiet hours feel like the only time she can stay ahead of the failure she fears will catch up to her. She double-checks emails before sending them, not for professionalism, but for survival. She takes on extra tasks because saying no feels like admitting limitation. She apologizes for things no one else noticed, because imperfection feels like danger. To live inside perfectionism is to live constantly. Braced shoulders slightly lifted, breath slightly shallow, mind slightly tense. The body learns to behave as if one wrong move could unravel everything. And in a way, that's exactly how the perfectionist mind sees the world. But what makes perfectionism especially cruel is how convincingly it disguises itself as strength. It earns praise everywhere. Teachers love it, bosses reward it, friends admire it, society celebrates it. A woman who never fails, never slows down, never complains is seen as exceptional. What no one realizes is that this exact praise becomes the fuel that keeps her trapped. It reinforces the belief that her value lies not in who she is, but in how impeccably she performs. Perfectionism becomes a cage made of applause, and the more she accomplishes, the narrower the cage becomes. There is a particular loneliness in this. When the world sees excellence, it almost never sees the cost. Claire can be surrounded by admiration and yet feel utterly unseen. She cannot show her exhaustion because exhaustion implies weakness. She cannot express her frustration because frustration implies lack of control. She cannot ask for help because asking means she is no longer the dependable one. No longer the person others can rely on. No longer who she's supposed to be. That's the burden of the perfectionist. She must protect the very image that is suffocating her. Perfectionism also distorts time. The present moment becomes irrelevant because she is always racing toward a future moment where she believes she will finally feel safe. But the finish line keeps moving, slipping just beyond reach. Her achievements never land. They pass through her like light through glass. She might celebrate for a few seconds, but then the relief dissolves, replaced instantly by the next fear, the next standard, the next expectation she must meet. And the strange thing is that the standards don't come from the outside. People think perfectionists respond to external pressure, but most of the pressure is internal, constructed long ago as a survival mechanism. The perfectionist is both the builder of the prison and the prisoner inside it. If Claire looks back far enough, she can see the origin of this pattern. She was praised for being responsible, admired for being mature, celebrated for performing well. She received affection when she was impressive, not necessarily when she was simply present. And so, she grew to believe that she must be extraordinary just to be acceptable, that she must earn every ounce of love or approval she receives. Perfectionism, then, is not vanity. It is fear with a perfect manicure. It is the grown woman's way of trying to satisfy the emotional hunger her younger self was never allowed to feel. The hunger for unconditional acceptance, the hunger for rest, the hunger for softness, the hunger for a moment, just one, when she doesn't have to prove herself. But perfectionism doesn't allow softness. It doesn't tolerate pauses. It treats rest as a reward rather than a right. It convinces her that she must always be producing, always performing, always outperforming even her past selves. Because somewhere deep inside, the slightest imperfection feels like confirmation of the worthlessness she has spent her whole life outrunning. Her mind becomes a battlefield between two forces: the fear of failing and the exhaustion of sustaining perfection. And the more successful she becomes, the more vicious the conflict grows. There is a moment many perfectionists eventually reach. It is not dramatic. It's subtle, almost imperceptible from the outside. But inside, something shifts. It might happen in the silence of her car after a long day, or when she's lying awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of her own expectations pressing against her ribs. She realizes she is tired. Not the kind of tired sleep can cure, but a deeper fatigue, the kind that comes from carrying a story for too long. She begins to suspect that the perfection she has been chasing is not sustainable, that it never was, that maybe it was never even real. This is where perfectionism becomes dangerous, because it often collapses into something even more painful: the belief that she is a fraud, that her perfection was never authentic, that every accomplishment was accidental, that she has deceived everyone, including herself. And that is the doorway into the next chapter of her internal struggle, the quiet, relentless ache of imposter syndrome. There comes a moment in the journey of many high-achieving women when perfectionism, no matter how polished, no matter how diligently maintained, begins to crack. It doesn't crack publicly. It doesn't break in front of an audience. It breaks in the privacy of her own mind, in the quiet places where she cannot perform, where she can no longer outrun the exhaustion of sustaining a flawless self. And through that crack, something even darker slips in. It's a thought so small she almost mistakes it for humility, a whisper she has heard before but never fully believed. Maybe I've fooled everyone. Maybe I've fooled myself. This is the beginning of the fraud fallacy, what we now call imposter syndrome. But naming it doesn't lessen its power. It is not an idea, it is an experience. It rushes in like cold air finding its way through a broken window. It chills everything it touches. Imagine a woman named Elise, a brilliant architect, admired by colleagues, celebrated for her vision, praised for her mastery. She stands in front of a room presenting a design that required months of precision. The audience sees confidence in her posture, clarity in her voice. But inside, Elise feels suspended over a canyon, held up by nothing more than thin threads of preparation and luck. Every question from the audience feels like a potential exposure. Every compliment feels like a misunderstanding. Every success feels like a mistake waiting to be corrected. She believes she is performing competence, not embodying it. She believes she is borrowing success, not deserving it. When the presentation ends and the room erupts into applause, Elise feels relief, not pride. Relief that she escaped. Relief that she was not discovered. Relief that for now, the illusion is held. This is the cruel paradox of imposter syndrome. The more accomplished she becomes, the more convinced she is that her accomplishments do not belong to her. She tells herself stories that undermine the very things she has earned. That project only succeeded because I overprepared. That promotion only happened because no one else applied. That award only came because the competition wasn't strong this year. Every victory is reinterpreted, minimized, reframed until it no longer resembles success, but luck, chance. An error in the system that will eventually be corrected. And because she cannot internalize her achievements, she must overcompensate for them. She works harder than necessary, not because she enjoys the work, but because she fears the moment someone realizes she wasn't the right choice. She triple checks, stays late, rehearses endlessly. She performs her role so precisely that no one ever suspects the truth she hides from herself. Imposter syndrome creates a split within her identity, two selves living under one skin. The self the world sees, polished and capable, and the self she believes she is, trembling and fraudulent. The distance between these two selves becomes unbearable. She becomes a woman living behind a mask that grows heavier with time. Psychology often describes imposter syndrome as a cognitive distortion, but for many women it feels more like an emotional inheritance, a continuation of the childhood belief that worth must be earned, a reflection of the perfectionist mindset that demands she never falter, a residue of environments where confidence in women was labeled arrogance, while excellence was expected without recognition. In spaces where she is the only woman, or one of few, the pressure intensifies. She feels the weight of representation. If she stumbles, she fears she is not just failing herself. She is confirming a stereotype, validating a prejudice, proving someone right. So, she pushes harder, stretches further, polishes the mask until it gleams. And all the while, the voice inside grows louder. One day, they will see you. One day, you will slip. One day, the truth will surface. But what truth? The truth that she is human, that she learns like everyone else, that she does not always know the answer but is capable of finding it. None of these are flaws. None of these are fraud. But to her, they feel disqualifying. Imposter syndrome thrives in silence. It grows in the spaces where vulnerability is forbidden, where competence must be displayed at all times. And because she cannot reveal the struggle, she believes she is the only one who carries it. She looks at other women and sees confidence. They look at her and see the same. But beneath the surface, they are all living with the same quiet terror, the fear of not being who they appear to be. And still, she rises. She shows up. She delivers. She achieves. But the climb becomes lonelier the higher she goes. She reaches a point where success no longer feels like a celebration, but like a tightening rope around her ribcage. She begins to dread the very achievements she once worked for, because each one raises the stakes of being found out. Yet, the tragedy of imposter syndrome is not that she doubts herself. It is that she cannot see the truth of who she really is. She looks at her reflection and sees the cracks. Others look and see the strength that kept her standing. She sees the moments she hesitated. Others see the courage it took to continue. She sees the failures. Others see the resilience that carried her through them. She mistakes her humanity for inadequacy. And that is the quiet heartbreak at the core of imposter syndrome. It convinces extraordinary women that they are ordinary at best and fraudulent at worst. It steals their ability to inhabit their own excellence. But there is another truth waiting beyond this fear. A truth that begins to emerge when the mask grows too heavy to hold. It is the truth of where these feelings actually come from. An origin far older than her career, older than her successes, older than the version of herself she performs for the world. To understand that truth, we have to go deeper into past experiences, inherited narratives, old emotional patterns, and the silent shaping power of early wounds. And that is where we will go next. There is a moment, quiet, fragile, almost imperceptible, when a woman who has spent her whole life performing strength finally pauses long enough to hear something beneath the noise of her own mind. It is not a grand revelation. It does not arrive with clarity or certainty. It comes instead like a faint shift in the wind, a softening inside the chest, a fleeting awareness that she cannot keep living inside the tension she has carried for so long. For many women, this moment arrives after years of running towards success, running away from fear, running between the two selves she has tried to reconcile. And one day, the running slows. Not because she chooses to stop, but because exhaustion gently asks her to. Exhaustion is often the body's first form of honesty. When the mind refuses to acknowledge its pain, the body quietly insists. In that stillness, something unexpected happens. She notices the truth she has avoided for years. The person she has been trying to become is not so different from the person she already is. She begins to see that her worth was never located in the flawless image she attempted to maintain, but in the very humanity she tried to hide. Healing does not arrive as a sudden dramatic awakening. It begins with small recognitions, subtle shifts in the way she speaks to herself. The harsh voice that once narrated her every move slowly loosens its grip. She begins to question the origin of its authority. She realizes that the narrative she inherited about being perfect, about earning love, about proving herself were not truths but survival strategies. They kept her safe once, but now they only keep her tired. When this awareness dawns, she doesn't immediately let go of perfectionism or silence the imposter within. These patterns are deeply wired. They do not disappear just because she understands them. But she starts to relate to them differently. She sees the perfectionist not as an enemy, but as a younger version of herself trying desperately to keep her safe. She sees the imposter voice as a frightened echo, not a prophecy. These voices lose their authority the moment she recognizes that they are not her essence. They are just old ghosts wearing her face. There is a certain tenderness that emerges when a woman stops fighting herself. She begins to offer the very compassion she has tirelessly given to others. And compassion, gentle, patient, unhurried, becomes the antidote to the worthlessness she once believed was permanent. Where perfection demanded performance, compassion welcomes imperfection. Where imposter syndrome whispered fear, compassion answers with presence. And where childhood wounds once dictated her sense of value, compassion gently rewrites the script. Healing also requires connection, not the kind that demands strength, but the kind that allows vulnerability. When she finally shares her secret fear with someone she trusts, something remarkable happens. It dissolves. Not instantly, not completely, but meaningfully. The shame that once felt enormous shrinks the moment it is spoken into a space where she is not judged, not corrected, not dismissed. She discovers that her struggle is not a private flaw but a shared human experience. And in that realization, she stops feeling alone. Slowly, she begins to reclaim the parts of herself she abandoned along the way. The softness she was taught to hide, the curiosity she suppressed in favor of discipline, the joy she postponed in the name of achievement. She reconnects, not with the image she tried to perfect, but with the person she was before fear shaped her. This reconnection is not a return to innocence. It is a return to authenticity. Over time, she learns to measure her life not by how flawlessly she performs, but by how gently she can exist within it. She learns that rest is not evidence of failure, that mistakes do not diminish her value, that worth is not something she earns, it is something she uncovers, something she remembers, something she returns to like a home she forgot she had. And this is where her story begins to shift. Success no longer feels like a test she must pass, but an expression of who she already is. Achievement becomes meaningful again, not because it proves her worth, but because it reflects her growth. Her identity expands beyond her accomplishments. It begins to include her silence, her softness, her questions, her uncertainty, her becoming. If you are listening to this and recognizing yourself within these words, Know this: you are not a fraud, and you never were. The fear you carry is old, but it is not permanent. The perfection you chase is impossible, but unnecessary. The worth you doubt is inherent and always has been. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to be human. And you are allowed, perhaps for the first time, to belong to yourself without condition. And as you continue exploring these truths, there is another layer waiting just beneath the surface. Another pattern that shapes how women protect themselves emotionally, especially in relationships. If you want to understand why so many women emotionally detach, long before they physically leave, the next video will take you deeper into that story. Whenever you're ready, I'll meet you there.